a little quieter than I was expecting for that bell. I think I need more practice. Welcome, everyone, to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. My name is Kira Spooner, and I will be serving as your worship associate today, along with Peg Pigeon. Whether you are attending online or in person, I'm glad you've chosen to join us for worship. We would like to extend a special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It is a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It is a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this place. If you are joining us online, we encourage you to create a YouTube account and sign in when you attend online. This will give you access to the comments feature in YouTube, and you can use the comments section to share joys and concerns that will be lifted up in worship and say hello to other online attendees or share something about how the service connected with you. For those here in person, you're invited after the service to go down to the common room for coffee and conversation. Our speaker today is Ruth Marimo, a single mother of two who lives in Bellevue, Nebraska, and is the author of a memoir titled Outsider, Crossing Borders, Breaking Rules, Gaining Pride. A more thorough introduction will be given a little later. For announcements, a special concert is going to take place on July 23rd to help support our Omaha sister church, Clare Memorial. It's a free will offering, all are welcome. You can join us before the concert for a pre-concert reception. Doors open for the reception after the church service, so at around noon. The concert will begin at 2 p.m. in the sanctuary, and bring your friends. It's called All Together Now, a musical fundraiser. To find out what else is going on this week, you can scan the QR code or take a printed e-newsletter in the foyer. It is appropriate to acknowledge that the First Unitarian Church of Omaha occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Oto-Missouri tribal nations, whose sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We would also like to express our respect to the Ponca tribe, Winnebago tribe, and Santee Sioux tribe of Nebraska, and over 170 other tribes represented in the Omaha area. And now for our prelude, performed by Judy Unger. It is called Sweet Woman by Chris Williamson.
Sweet woman, rising inside my glow, I think I'm missing you. Singing to me, them soft words taking me to your secrets, letting me know, taking me in, you let it all go, you let it all go. Surrounding me this night, staring at me. Oh, the warmth surrounding me, it won't let me be, just won't let me be. A little passage of time till I hold you and you'll be mine, sweet woman, rising so fine. A little passage of time. Passage of time till I hold you and you'll be mine, sweet woman, rising so fine.
This morning, Che and Spooner will light the flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith. As the chalice is lit, I invite you all to join in the chalice lighting words. Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life.
Our call to worship is We Are Glad You're Here by Amanda Schuber. If this is your first time here or your 100th and first time, we are glad you're here. If you carry the weight of a weary world on your shoulders, or you entered through the doors with a song in your heart and a skip in your step, we are glad you're here. If you are the loudest voice in the town square or the subtle hand behind the scenes, we're glad you're here. If you have failed once or 1,000 times, we are glad you're here. If you sing like angels or mumble behind the hymnal, we are glad you're here. This community is what it is because of your presence. So welcome into this space of love, support, justice, compassion, fellowship, and worship. We are glad you're here. We're going to sing our opening hymn. It's out of the gray hymnal. It's number 188. We're just going to sing through this little song twice. If you don't, stand if you wish. If you don't, stay seated. Thank you. And thank you, John, for leading us. You'll hear more from him later. So we're going to have Kira Spooner. She's coming back up because she's going to do the story for all ages. Do we have children in here or maybe some adults who will sit on the floor?
Yep, thank you. If anyone's feeling their inner child today and wants to come down, feel free. You can also pull up a chair if you don't want to sit on the floor. I understand that too. We'll wait for the other little kiddos real quick to come up. Hi guys, welcome. Hi, how are you? Good. Okay, so the story we're going to read today is called Birds on Wishbone Street. And it's by Suzanne Del Rizzo. Welcome to Wishbone Street. Friends like you and me, from near or from far away, we are all neighbors. We know it can be hard to move someplace new. New home, new people, new everything. And down here in the street, all the people are saying hello. Buongiorno, Amari. Ciao, Miss Francesca. Hey, Mo. Hola, May. Hola, Miss Frida. My dad came here from Ireland when he was young. He carried his pet bird in a hollowed-out radio. True story. That little bird's leg band sits next to my favorite find, a blue jay's tail feather. Do any of you guys have collections at home? Do you like to collect bird feathers or rocks? Nice. Rocks can be really cool. Ooh, geodes? I love geodes. They're so sparkly. Nice. Does the new kid have stories from far away too? Every day, May and her brother Omari meet me at our spot, the bench under Mabel. Mabel is the biggest maple tree in our Wishbone Street parquet. If we time it right, Miss Frida and Miss Francesca drop off fresh churros or cannoli. Yum. Miss Francesca always says, "Buongiorno, fragolini," my little strawberries. Our parquet is awesome for bird watching, epic snow fort building, and treasure finding. Just last week, we found 2 cardinal feathers and a robin's eggshell. More collections. I dropped off some welcome gifts for the new kid. Everyone needs mitts, hot chocolate, and a feather on Wishbone Street. Raise your hand if you love hot chocolate. Yeah, me too. With marshmallows, lots of marshmallows. Does he like churros, birds, and snow forts too? Do I wave, go say hi, ask to try his cool binoculars? My head is a jumble of words all smooshed up together, but suddenly I'm too shy to say anything out loud. My bird friends fill my awkward silence with their cheery bird song. Can you guys do bird song? What they say in the book is, yank, 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 two-a-wee, tapa, tapa, top. Those are kind of weird bird songs, but we'll find out what birds they are later. Then the tiniest treasures float down, snowflakes. Hi, I say, I'm Maureen, but you can call me Mo. The new kid offers me an acorn. I am Sami. In a blink, snowflakes melt on our tongues. When we get cold, Sami invites me over for hot chocolate. It's kind of fun to eat snowflakes. In his room, Sami shows me the bird drawings he's been unpacking. Wow, Sami, I gasped, these are amazing. He smiles shyly. Thank you for the feather, he says, opening a battered shoebox. My gift nestles there with other feathers and keepsakes. My treasures, Sami explains, closing the lid gently, all the way from Syria. You must be sad about leaving home, I say, but we have so many birds here too, you'll see. Back outside, I squish 2 mittfuls of snow together, scrunch. Yes, I shout, it's packing snow. We make a flock of snowbirds under Maple and take turns spotting real ones with the binoculars. Here we go, we're gonna identify those weird bird sounds. Bluebird, two-a-wee, two-a-wee. Woodpecker, tappa, tappa, tap. Red-breasted nuthatch, yank, 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 yank. I want to hear a red-breasted nuthatch. I've never heard one. Soon, the snow falls harder and faster, a flurry of winter white. Ah, first snow, says Miss Frida. Bellissimo, sighs Miss Francesca. In the morning, we rush up and over the fresh snowbanks. Snow fort, May yells, and we all start rolling snowballs toward our spot. Oh no, we find more than just packing snow under Mabel. A female cardinal lies cold and stunned in the snow. What do we do? Asks Omari. Sami stands tall. We need a box and a blanket, fast. I find my favorite blanket, and Sami finds a box, his box of Syrian treasures. Miss Frida drives us all to the vet. Your cardinal will be just fine with some warmth and rest, the vet tells us. I can take care of her, Sami announces. I had pigeons in Syria. So we take her home to Sami's house. I help Sami set up the bird cage with seed and water. My dad grew up with pet birds too, I tell him. How many pigeons did you have? Lots, Sami replies, slipping our cardinal into her perch. Up on my rooftop, my best friends. I plop down in his bed. Ouch! A tiny toy soldier. Sami's keepsakes are scattered everywhere. I discover coins, multicolored feathers, chunks of brick, and bird leg bands too. Your collection is incredible, I whisper. Sami shares stories about the wild birds he met at a refugee camp. He sifts through the keepsakes, and picks out a photo. Can we make little baskets for the birds? Asks Sami. See, my uncle taught me to weave. We call those roosting pockets, I reply. Nice. We can make suet feeders too. May and Omari bring birdseed, cornmeal, and peanut butter. Miss Francesca and Miss Frida melt the suet and send over mixing bowls and spoons. I bring sunflower seeds, cookie cutters, willow twigs, and yarn. We each add a willow twig to our collection and remember this day. Everybody helps hang our feeders and roosting pockets. Sami cradles the cardinal between his hands. I think we will like it here very much, he tells her. New friends, new treats, new homes. Fresh starts for Sami and for our neighborhood birds. We count down together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fly. We are all neighbors on Wishbourne Street. And in the back of the book, there's directions on how to make bird suet treats and winter roosting pockets. If anybody's interested, come see me after service and you can take a look. The end.
It's time for our community offering. Every week we take up an offering in support of our liberal religious values. Half of the loose currency in the offering plate is donated to a cause with a local presence, which advances important principles of Unitarian Universalism. Those on YouTube may choose to donate directly to the organization online. Our Share the Plate recipient for July is OATS, Open Arms Trans Social Group. OATS welcomes the trans community of all ages, genders, identities, and gender expressions, drawing people from well beyond the Omaha area. While OATS centers in the trans experience, we lift each other up in the spirit of fellowship and love. We invite our cisgendered allies, family members, and partners to attend as well. Our offertory song will be sung by John Lim. I do want to tell you that in the order of service, his name is spelled wrong. It's Lim. And John will be attending Shenandoah Conservatory in Virginia this fall as a grad assistant in voice.
Pictures from the picnic, and Daddy really does remind me of a prince. I can't lie anymore, and God, it feels so much better. Although I'm kinda scared of what I've just begun. Just remember who I was right before you read this letter. I was dead and I remain. Love you, son.
That was wonderful, John. Thank you. Well, now it's time for joys and concerns. Those online can put items to be shared in the comment area. And Colin McDonald will come up and read those items that have been submitted in advance and items that are being submitted this morning. Thank you, Colin.
From Judy Unger, she says, good thoughts and energy for a lifetime friend who just came out this past week at age 56. From Lynn and Russell, we are happy to see the turnout for the Pride Parade yesterday. And not certain who this is from, but it says music was beautiful and piano to allow to hear vocalists. So maybe we'll get that checked out. Sound check. And nothing online.
Okay. Thank you, Colin.
Put these here.
All right. We're going to have a short meditation. I'm going to ring the bell once. Settling in, both feet on the floor, and allow your eyes to soften and close. Relax your shoulders, relax your abdomen. Let the worries in your mind dissolve. Feel the support beneath you. Feel as the pew holds the weight of your body. And connect with the earth below you beneath your feet. Become aware of the sounds that are surrounding you, but you just let them be there. You allow your mind to empty of anxious thoughts and feelings. You let those thoughts flow out and away from you. And you allow your body to release the tensions that hold you. You let those tensions flow out and away. And we'll sit here in silence for just a few more moments. I'm trying to bring everybody back, but this thing won't ring. So, Kira, you weren't kidding. All right, I'm sorry to interrupt your meditation so poorly. I'm a yoga teacher, I should know better. We have a wonderful another musical interlude. We are really just having all kinds of wonderful music this morning. So we have The Heart of a Woman by Florence Price being sung by Bill Tull.
Lord.
Thank you, Bill. At this time, we usually have a reading that has something to do with the sermon, but I'm just going to use it as a time to introduce our speaker. Ruth Marimo is a 43-year-old. Are you still 43? Okay. Single mother of two. She doesn't look it. So that's fine. Who lives in Bellevue, Nebraska. She has authored 2 books, a memoir titled Outsider Crossing Borders, Breaking Rules and Gaining Pride, which chronicles her immigration journey from her country of origin, Zimbabwe, as well as the complexities of being a multiple minority, a work of fiction titled Indelicate Things. She has also co-authored Women Beyond Belief, and she was featured in the book Pantsuit Nation. Ruth was a TEDX Omaha speaker for 2015, a 2012 Yale LGBTQ Conference speaker, a 2016 Harvard LGBTQ Conference panelist, was nominated for a 2017 Young Black and Influential Award in Omaha. She was featured in the Huffington Post. She has a residential and commercial cleaning business called Ruth's Cleaning Service that has been growing for 13 years. Her commercial clients include nonprofits like the Union for Contemporary Arts and Inclusive Communities. She was recently featured on Open Coffee Omaha and was a 2017 recipient of the Midland Business Journal's 40 Under 40 Awards. When she's not busy raising her 4 teenagers, she speaks and fights for many causes, including racial inequality, immigration reform, LGBTQ equality, and she also mentors at-risk youth. Through her worldly experiences, Marimo works hard to impart some of the knowledge she has gained with her peers that are back in Africa, and uses the values she learned in Africa to give people here a different perspective. Ruth also enjoys the challenges that come with being a small business owner and being able to give other people an income while providing a much-needed service. Her number 1 job is that of raising her 2 children who are age 16 and 18, and a niece and nephew who are 16 and 19. Being a voice for the marginalized is something that Marimo is deeply passionate about. Please welcome Ruth Marimo to be our speaker.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. That was the sermon right there. Thank you all for being here. Oh my goodness, one of my teenagers woke up and made it. I am so very honored to have been invited to share my story with you all today. My memoir is titled Outsider, but it could have also been titled A Series of Unfortunate Events. I was born to a 16-year-old girl in a rural town in Zimbabwe called Murewa. My mother had not told anybody that she's expecting a child. Everyone found out the day that I was born. And lucky for me, when my grandmother, so her mother, found out that she had had a child, she immediately jumped in and volunteered to take care of me because it was almost time for my mom to go back to high school. She was at a boarding school. I then spent the first 4 years of my life living with my grandmother in her rural home. To this day, my most vivid memories are of that time. The stars in the night sky, the fresh milk right from the cow, the fresh corn, everything out of the garden, bathing in the river. I now understand that the reason I can even stand in front of all of you today is because of those first 4 years of my life, that nurturing and that love. is what, in the end, heals everything else that I'm about to talk about. When I was 4, my mother had started teaching, and she had another child by then, my little sister named Chido Chimoyo. She had a flat, which is what you guys call apartments. She had an apartment in the city. And when I was 4, she told my grandmother that she was ready to take me back. So I went off to live in the city with my mother. Unfortunately, less than a year later, my mother went and had an argument with Chido's father at his place of employment. He worked at the railways of Zimbabwe. And after the argument, which of course no one knows what the argument was about, she laid herself on the tracks and was killed by a train. So from that time, my life moved 360 degrees at every turn. Immediately, my sister and I were put on a train to go live with an aunt. And on that train ride, my sister contracted measles. And within a month of arriving, she also passed away. From then on, I would spend a few months, a few years with this aunt or uncle and be moved to the next one. For some reason, my father never looked for me, never claimed me. But when I was 10, I finally landed at my one aunt's house, who had a big house in the city. She had a swimming pool, and I knew that I didn't want to move. So I humbled myself and asked her if she could take me in. From then on, I started going to a prestigious school, and at that school, I discovered my love for English literature and public speaking. I really started to excel. The thing, though, about being an orphaned African girl in my culture is that nobody actually believes in you. So while my relatives were really good about paying my school fees, taking care of me, I was never treated like their own kids. I was never treated like my cousins were. I was almost always made to work more around the house. But when I look back at the ways that I was made to be functional, the way that I was pushed to really kind of push myself, I now realize that those lessons are some of why I could survive the things that would come later on in life. Well, when I was 18, Zimbabwe's economy started to tumble. I don't know how many of you know about what has happened to Zimbabwe as a country, but basically in the 70s, we were known as the breadbasket of Africa. We were the most literate Africans. We had some of the best healthcare system in Africa. In fact, it was comparable to England. We were colonized by the British, so everything we did there was almost similar. Our education system was top-notch, but then our president became a dictator and stayed in power for 40 years. So everything started to crumble. So at that time, my aunt decided that I should probably, since I was almost done with high school, look into leaving the country for better opportunities. She knew a Zimbabwean doctor who lived in England who needed somebody to help with their household. The only thing is, he didn't tell her that they planned to pay me £100 a month, which back in 1998 was about $156 a month. So once I arrived, and my aunt left me at this house, an aunt who lived in England was like, no, that's slavery. You cannot leave her to work for someone and get paid that little. So she came and she picked me up from there. I spent about 8 months in England when I was 18. But then an opportunity opened up to move to Omaha and to stay with someone I didn't know. What could possibly go wrong? I arrived here as a 19-year-old in July of 1999. I had never experienced humidity in my life. I arrived at about 2 in the morning, I think. And when I opened the door the next day, this invisible cloud hit me, and I did not know what that was, and someone had to explain. Had explained that it was humidity. I had never seen iced tea, so I would heat my iced tea in the microwave. No one else drinks iced tea in the world. I didn't understand TV dinners, so I would put those in the oven. Just a lot of culture shock. Well, the person that I came to live with was not who they had said to be. So I found myself day after day taking care of her child. She's not helping me really with anything. I had come in with a visitor visa that gives you 90 days. Luckily, her sister happened to visit one day and was shocked that there was this 19-year-old at this house. And she was like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, your sister said she was going to help me get a job, help me process my paperwork." And of course, the sister knew what I didn't know. And so she ran around, and back then, when you could, with a visitor's visa, get a social security card, ran around and helped me get that, helped me get a driver's license, figured out the gist of how I can work even though I didn't have the proper documentation, and helped me kind of get out of that entrapped situation. Then when I was 21, I met a white man, originally from Iowa. I had grown up in a culture that had never explained to me what domestic violence was, what abuse of any kind was. I did not yet understand terms like trauma bonding. I did not yet know that I obviously had a ton of abandonment issues. I did not even know that I had trauma from my upbringing and my childhood. I proceeded to stay in an abusive marriage for 6 years, a marriage in which he obviously knew that I had been out of status and undocumented, and knew that it was dependent on his paperwork for my paperwork to be processed and filed, which we never did. But after 6 years, I was ready to get out of that situation. Well, he decided to turn my passport and all of my paperwork into Homeland Security. So one day in 2008, I have 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I am sleeping. I had separated from their father. There's a knock on my door. And literally 6 agents, ICE agents with bulletproof vests, are at my door to arrest me for being undocumented. I ended up spending a month in jail. I lost 20 pounds in 30 days, so I went from 100 pounds to 80 pounds. And the thing that was hard was imagining that my children, too, would now be motherless, like I had been. Because if you're deported, you can't return for 10 years, and even after those 10 years, the chances that you're ever allowed to come back are really slim. Luckily, my family, my aunt who had raised me and all her kids, I had helped them all move to the United States. And because she arrived as an adult, she was able to seek asylum right away. And so they got their green cards while I was still undocumented, even though I had been here for 6 years. She ran around and got me a lawyer, and I was able to come out And luckily discovered that there are laws like VAWA, which I know Trump tried to get rid of it, but basically it's a Violence Against Women's Act, which allows, if you are married to an American citizen, you should be able to get a green card if there was abuse and documented abuse. I applied for that. It was approved. But for some reason, the local office, because at the time, while I was in jail, I had started writing my story. And the reason I started writing my story was because I thought I was never going to see my kids, and I wanted to answer every question that they may have because I didn't have my mother to answer the questions I had. So it started off as a letter to my kids that just kind of kept going and going until it became a book. But anyways, the local office, because I had started talking about my story, I had been in the paper, they decided to deny my green card. So I had been in limbo all of this time, and finally, after 20-something years, I actually just got my green card approved 6 months ago. But anyways, I was lucky enough that when I got out of jail and I started obviously fighting for my kids, because in the 30 days I was in jail, he had taken the kids and moved them to Iowa, had told the courts I'd already been deported. Because of the fact that he had tried to have me deported, the judge actually just awarded me sole custody. The judge was like, you know, I don't think you can share custody with someone who goes to those lengths to try to remove you from your children's lives. And that has been an amazing thing. Once I got out, I just wanted to create new memories with my children. I also realized that I had been hiding my true sexuality all my life. And maybe I'd always known, but I was so different growing up from everyone else that to consider the fact that I was also gay was just too much to add on to all of the other ways that I was different. Well, I finally fully embraced my sexuality. I wanted to live life on my own terms. Because, you know, being deported had been my greatest fear, but I had faced that, and it felt like I got a new lease on life. So I wanted to be as loud as I could possibly be, which, by the way, being African, I was the very first person in my entire family to ever come out publicly, which then, of course, my family didn't know how to deal with that. But as the years went on, I, started my business, like she mentioned. I started just living life on my own terms. And about a year and a half ago, my niece and nephew needed a home. I was able to step in and take them in. Another nephew wanted to come live here from Canada. I took him in too. And then just in the past year, I actually came across a news article from my home country where a trans girl had been essentially kicked out of her community, was not going to school. Everyone was calling her demonic and satanic because of how feminine she presented. I was able to start a GoFundMe and raise funds. I have now essentially adopted this child. They are now in a safe boarding school and are doing amazingly well. So it's interesting that an orphan like me has now grown up, and I'm now in this place where I am taking care of all of these children in my own family. And so in all of my story, I have come to realize that we really all have what it takes, no matter how we start off in life, no matter the challenges that are presented to us. I have literally, I think I tried to count how many times I've started over. It's at least 6 times. At least 6 times. So I know that if I can do that, then all of us have it in us to always start again. My oldest is now, she's turning 19 in September. She goes to Arizona State University. She's pursuing biological sciences with a minor in Spanish because she wants to become a bilingual plastic surgeon. My son is now 17. He taught himself how to trade, so he calls himself a stock trader. In fact, I have a funny story. We went to renew their passports just last week, and he's still in high school. And for occupation, instead of writing student, he wrote stock trader. And when we got to the counter, the lady whited it out and wrote student. But that is how passionate he is about pursuing his stock trading. One of my newer teens is here today, and she is debating between going into criminology or vet assistant. In fact, funny story about her, I kid you not, the other night we're at my niece's place, she puts on a PowerPoint presentation trying to convince me to allow her to get another cat. She had already had a cat. She didn't take care of it. That's why we got rid of the first cat. My other nephew has gone on and left the house. So saying that to say that everything has come full circle in my life. My amazing girlfriend is here today as well. And you know what? I am at a stage in my life where I love my kids, but I want them all gone. I want to move to Portland with my girlfriend in the next 2 years. I keep telling them this all the time, that I love you, but yeah, I'm, you know, it's time. I am so glad you are all here to listen today, and I hope that parts of my story have resonated with you. Oh, one more part, a big part. I did come out, it's been 10 years now, that I realized that, Christianity was brought to my people by your people. That the ways in which my people have then taken on Christianity and use it as a guide for their lives has not been helpful. In fact, I think it's pretty detrimental. An example is, my trans kid who gets kicked out of their own hometown by Africans because they're so religious that they call their own child satanic. So about 10 years ago, I let go of religion. I now identify as a humanist atheist, and that is what feels most comfortable for me. And so I am as different from my own people as can be, and in some ways as different from people here as can be, but, I think that is my strength. That is embracing all of the ways that I am different and yet the same, is what enables me to do the things that I do on a daily basis, and enables me to also be as happy as I am now in life. Therapy also helped. Therapy helped. I was in therapy for a long time, about 10 years. But I am in a place now where I think that I have been a mother to all of my children, whether biological or not, that I didn't have, and an adult that I wished I had had in my life. Thank you so much. I do have copies of my book downstairs after the service. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ruth. That was amazing. I just loved it. All right, we're going to have our closing song, which is Break Knock the Circle. John will be leading it again. So it's number 323. We'll sing all three verses, and if you would like to stand, if you wish. If not, that's absolutely fine. Thank you all. Our closing words and extinguishing of the chalice. Beloved, know that you are loved and pride goes with you. Thank you.